Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right, live from Netroots Nation 2022. Today I'm honored to be again with Samantha Boucher. I remembered, I was just giving my pause, Samantha.
Sorry.
With Samantha Boucher. Samantha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. My voice is getting hoarse from talking so much. I'm sure yours is the same.
Yeah, well, I know I've seen you doing the rounds all over. Well, anyway, what we want to discuss today is your new program. It's called Shire. Explain to our audience about Shire because it's of importance.
Totally. So I'm a former federal campaign manager. So
Yeah.
I've managed a congressional race and a U.S. Senate race in Iowa back in 2020. And when the pandemic hit, everybody went to this work from home situation for like companies.
Right.
But political tech didn't catch up with that, right?
Right.
So if you're trying to volunteer, less people than ever are comfortable doing that in person.
Right.
And so a lot of campaigns have started trying to get people to volunteer, some very successfully, remotely, where they come in and they can help send text messages or make phone calls or even fill out postcards at home and send them back.
Right.
And that's super helpful. And the more volunteer energy you put into a campaign, the more likely it is to succeed.
Right.
Every phone call is maybe a new voter, right?
Right. Well,
and so
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please.
So right now, there are a couple of really critical races in the country, right? We have John Fetterman here in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
We have Raphael Warnock running down in Georgia.
Right.
And these are like the control of the Senate hangs in the balance of whether or not these campaigns can achieve.
And
victory.
why is this personally important to you that we hold on to that Senate right now?
Well, I'm a trans woman, and I obviously under the previous administration, and even now across the country, you can see rights for trans and LGBT folks getting eroded every single day in state legislatures and in regulation and so on, even under a Democratic administration. And it will be so much worse if the GOP retakes the Senate, retakes the presidency, that sort of thing.
So you understand the urgency of why one must succeed in holding in creating a process in which one can really win elections. Tell us a little bit more.
For sure. Yeah. So right now, like I said, if you go to, let's say, John Fetterman's website, he's running an awesome campaign, but one of the things is that the technology isn't there to support the big online like digital volunteering that
you
they
told
want
me a
to be
story
doing, right?
and you gave me an example. You said they go to the website, they sign up to volunteer. Somebody may get an email, and then it gets into
it's like hitting a brick wall. And then if you do manage, you get an email or something, they get you on a Zoom call or on a training.
Right.
Then you have to kind of get the learning curve of all the technology that you have to use to do those phone calls and make those text messages, right? And Slack, as useful as it is, or like Microsoft Teams, things like that, are great for if you're working at a corporate job somewhere, right? But as a volunteer, you're usually either a college student or typically we have a lot of folks that are like retirees that are not, maybe they're not as tech savvy, right? As somebody that can make that stuff do backflips that's doing it in the corporate world, right? And so we've built something that is easy enough for anybody to use. It feels and works a lot more like social media than Slack, which can be really overwhelming to a lot of people.
Now, how does that integrate to, let's say, a politician who already has his website ready to go? He or she has their website ready to go.
Yeah, so they can. We're launching in September. They can sign up and get their Shire instance set up, and they can put it on their website. So like volunteer.johnfetterman.com, right? And we can have our onboarding module there. People can sign up, and then they go straight into the application. And the organizers that are working on that campaign or other volunteers can actually talk to that person right on the spot.
Also, in other words, once you'll give them their own URL attached to their domain, and then they come into you and
or ours on theirs, exactly.
And now this software is running on in the cloud on your platform,
Correct.
I imagine, where all the logistics occur. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and it's also it's honestly better in Slack in some ways for this use case because we have things like end-to-end encryption.
Right.
So if you have bad actors that are trying to get at messages, good luck, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Because again, it's actually it leaves encrypted, has to be decrypted at the other end.
And so and it's a seamless experience for the volunteers and for the organizers. It's easier because you can. You have a central place that you can organize all your volunteers that are.
So what would you like? The last question that I always ask is, what should I have asked you that I failed to ask thus far?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. I think we pretty much covered like the basics of it. I just think that like the main thing that we're trying to do is something that impacts every campaign,
Right.
and also a lot of organizations and nonprofits
Right.
too. The Bernie Sanders campaign in 2020,
Right.
they had 72,000 people
Right.
volunteer remotely online
Right.
in their Slack, but they had to use a free version of Slack because they couldn't afford the $500,000 they would have had to pay a month
Right.
to run that corporate software for
So
for
if that
volunteer
corporate
agency.
software with 72,000 people trying to get into one Slack account would have cost $500,000.
$500,000 if they got like the full-fledged
A
thing.
month.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we are obviously not going to charge.
That.
Yeah, no, God no. So
Yeah. Well, look. Thank you so kindly,
Of
Samantha, for bringing that to us.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, you
I mean,
bet.
I think it is important that politicians and people that are running, good people that are running, know that they have tools that they can actually enhance their volunteer base.
Yeah, totally.
Because without enhancing the volunteer base is generally the largest portion of any
It's everything,
of any
especially for
election.
progressives and for
Absolutely.
Democrats. And I think that the other thing is that for folks that may not even be working in campaigns, if they
Right.
want to help with this, we're actually doing something called an equity crowdfunding campaign.
Right.
So what that means is, I think the minimum investment is $100, and you can actually own a piece of Shire
Right.
yourself as a progressive, as someone
Right.
who wants to support this work. So
Progressive values. Thank you
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
kindly, Samantha,
Yeah,
for being a
for
part
sure.
of Politics Done Right.
yeah, you bet.
All right. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.